Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8. So we've had a week off from The Flash Season 8 recently, but we are back this coming week with episode 12 for this season, which is otherwise called Death Rises, which of course is just an intriguing title in itself. But we, of course, last left the show with the introduction of Deathstorm, who was behind the whole Black Flame thing and the murders associated with all of that. So who knows what is coming our way, seeing that Deathstorm should now be even more powerful now that he has his actual proper physical form, and should just be harder to take down, and who knows what he's going to go do around Central City. But of course, we are into the back half of the season, and they did debut a new poster for the show, as you can see here, which for some weird reason, these type of posters I've never really liked too much, but for some weird reason, I don't dislike this one. I actually sort of like it. Even though, as I said, it's like the style of poster I usually haven't liked in the past. I think it's the visuals of it all, like all the colors mixed together and just visually pleasing, sort of like that. There is another version here where it's just Barry. I'm not too sure where it came from, whether the CW just released the Barry version as well. But you have Team Flash with Barry, and then just Barry as well here. So yeah, I don't hate the poster, even with the whole Team Flash thing. I think the colors just sort of look, pretty cool. But anyway, that poster was exclusively revealed, at least the Team Flash one was exclusively revealed by TV Insider, with it also coming with an interview with the showrunner of The Flash, that of course being Eric Wallace, where he teased what is next with the current storyline, but also the remainder of the season and the connections to the new poster as well. So in this video, we'll be going over all of that and breaking it down and giving thoughts when necessary. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions, everything like that. I'm always curious to hear what you guys are thinking and what you might want to happen. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and just want to show support, why not drop a like on the video? It takes 2 seconds and helps a lot. But yeah, let's just jump into this interview because there's 6 questions, I think. 5 or 6, something like that. It's almost like now with all the changes amongst the team, this new art, on the poster kind of clarifies that Allegra has got powers, Cecile has got powers, Iris is front and center. Yes, exactly. It's called The Flash, and yes, he's the most important character, and he's our hero, and we love him. However, supporting The Flash as Team Flash and on Team Flash, everybody's equally important, and everybody matters, and everybody needs to have agency, okay? So it's been a big effort over the last 3 seasons as showrunner to make sure that any of the supporting characters who maybe were just kind of in the background before got to shine more. And some of those people were not metas, like Jesse Martin, who's Joe. Obviously, he's not playing a meta, but his super power is being a dad. Now, in regards to this, I think the hard thing that with the show at the moment is that everything's split. It's not just Team Flash, because Team Flash you'd always just associate with, Star Labs, but Allegra and Iris, and Joe and Cecile, obviously they are outside of that. So really, Team Flash at the moment is really just Chester, Caitlin, and Barry, if you're putting it down to a simple sense. I think that's where you struggle when you try to even things out, and just feels like people just are there for the sake of being there, which some people have pointed out, especially, and I think it was a scene last episode or the week before, just felt like people were there for the sake of being there without any good reason. And I think that's an issue when you actually create different areas and different groups of people are in, but then still try to make them one thing, which is Team Flash. It's a hard balance. But anyway, carrying on with the Jesse or Martin stuff and just being Joe West. Yeah, being Joe West, right? So we got that there. And Chester, we had to establish his superpower as the new tech guru when Cisco left. That was important, but that still left Allegra, Cecile, and it left the continuing evolution of Iris. She's not just the Flash's wife, she has her own stories and her own agencies, so I feel like we did good there. And as this poster points out, oh my, are you in for some surprises in the back half? Some, I'm happy to say, are literally previewed on this poster. You will see Allegra. It's one of my favorite episodes coming up, where she gets to show her stuff and literally saves the day on her own practically. It's a very intense episode, and I'm so happy the way it came out. I don't want to reveal any spoilers, but her performance is phenomenal and you really see what she's made of. Everybody else is obviously still in the episode, but it's her showcase. Likewise, you will see those lines around Cecile and her making gestures. You're going to see something wild going on with Cecile that ties into our season finale, and I'm very excited about that too. The theme of the season is leveling up. There it is. So why can't Allegra and Cecile level up too? Now, this has been something that I've pointed out, and a lot of people pointed out when they saw certain set photos. There was set photos out. I think it's for episode 14 or 15. It's one of those two. and it has Cecile and Allegra out on the field. And everyone was like, well, what the hell? Those are the two metas, including myself, I said this as well. Those are the two metas who would just die. Like, they would just die immediately. Like, they can't do anything. Like, Allegra's powers are, like, ultraviolet, like, making things light up. Like, and Cecile's are all mental without any real, like, attack abilities. So, those are the two people that they went out there, they just die straight away. Like, no matter if Barry's there or not, they probably just die. So, if they want to use those characters as proper metas, you'd have to level up. But then it's going to bring the question that a lot of people will be wondering, why? That's always going to be a question. Is there a reason to make them metahumans that go on the field? Is it because there's a lack of support for Barry? Does that, because at the moment we said this previously, Frost is the only one there, but does something happen to Frost? I need to point out, Frost hasn't been seen on any action sets since I think episode 13 or 14. So I don't know what happens with her. Does something happen to Frost where now Cecile and Allegra are Barry's only like metahuman support? I don't know, but it's going to be hard because those two characters are characters that aren't overly liked in regards to their, like, you know, metahuman sense. So that's probably a massive task for Eric Wallace to make work for the audiences, because it's evident that they're characters that, as I said, people don't really dig in regards to the metahuman sense. So I have to wait and see how it all goes. Fingers crossed it works well, because you don't want something to be bad, but also you have reasons to be worried at the same time just because of the past with those characters. But anyway, it goes on. I dig it, and I love the mimicking of, you've got Barry with his hands on his hips, and you've got Iris with her hands on her hips. Her hips, might I say. They're both taking very strong stands here. Yes, the back half of the season, I'm not going to exaggerate here, some really intense stuff is about to go down. Really intense. And it involves all of the characters. I said at the beginning of the season, the first graphic novel storyline was Armageddon. We're in the middle of our next graphic novel now, and I'll be announcing the title here in a few weeks because the title is ridiculously spoilery, obviously. For the first time ever this season, we have 3 graphic novel arcs, and Team Flash will never be the same after the second one. It ties and pushes them emotionally into the final graphic novel, and all the people that you're seeing here in the poster all have to work equally, as you would imagine, to save the world from another big bad. So that makes me very curious as to what happens. Either tomorrow or the next day, I'm not too sure when I'm going to upload the video, we're going to be going over like some promo material for episode, I think it's 14, which suggests some bad stuff happening. And I don't know if that's what Eric Wallace says there suggests what we might be focusing in on that video in regards to maybe a bit of a spoiler. I'm not too sure. I'm very curious to see what happens there. And I might have just hinted at it before when we're talking about like the reason that Allegra and Cecile might have to go out in the field. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get to that in another day. Another day or two, you'll probably see that video. Robbie Amell is back as Deathstorm for 3 episodes, one of which we've already seen. What is next? So at the end of episode 11, Resurrection, Deathstorm showed up and revealed himself. But what was not revealed is the true reason that he's back. That will be revealed. Everything about why he is back, his plan, what he wants, and how it'll affect Team Flash forever will be revealed in next week's episode, Death Rises. Deathstorm might even achieve victories we never saw coming. It's going to be devastating. Why he's back is not what people think it is. Sometimes, and this is a very, very big hint, sometimes the bigger the villain, the simpler the motivation. It's not always some crazy, convoluted Machiavellian plan. The working title for this graphic novel, which is not a spoiler, was The Black Fire Hauntings. When I first pitched my crazy ideas, my staff looked at me like, what? Are you out of your mind? That sounds like a horror movie. And I went, yes, it's a horror movie. We're going to do the Flash's version of a horror film over several episodes, and once they got past that, then the excitement set in. And we've always known the ending of this story. I've literally known it for 2 years, and I've been building and building towards this, as I've been building towards the end of season 8. The last 3 seasons are literally all one big story, and it's leading towards one specific event. I have the post-it somewhere on my desk. I wrote it down 2 years ago and went, that's the end of season 8. So this has me very, very curious as to see what happens over these next 2 or 3 episodes roughly, because I agree with that thing that Eric Wallace says there. The bigger the villain, the simpler the motivation sometimes. Sometimes a big villain needs maybe it can be convoluted, but a lot of the times it can just be literally 2 dot points with 10 words in each dot point, and that's the plan, and that's why it can work so simply. And sometimes you can even rephrase it. It might not be the bigger villain, but the better villain, or the better the villain, the simpler the motivation. And that gets me excited to see what happens with Deathstorm, because I think we can all agree he looks freaking cool, and the setup was, to a degree, pretty well done as well. You could argue it was a bit stretched out, but I think for the most part it was done pretty well to set him up, appearing in front of our eyes. Now let's see the play on from that. In regards to like season 6, 7, and 8 being there's one big story. Look, I can't say I agree with that at this point because I feel everything's been sort of separate, like especially when you jump around. Like things connect to each other, but you can connect anything, you know, especially when you get later to the point you can look back in hindsight and go, okay, well, we can make this connect to that, we can make this connect to this. It's easy when you look back like that to make it work. So I don't know if it was originally planned in season 6, what he's saying here. It might. I'm not going to call Eric Wallace a liar, but I'm interested to see how it all connects if that is the actual case. But here is the thing that Eric Wallace is teasing in regards to maybe where you can track it yourself. So they ask, wait, so this is all connected going back to season 6? What I would tell people to do before watching our episodes 12 and 13 and onward is to rewatch the beginning of season 6. And I wouldn't watch it for blood work. I'd watch it for all the other reasons. The clues have been there the whole time. Now, when I think back to season 6, obviously the beginning, it's the lead up to Crisis. It's very important to remember. There's a lot of lead up to Crisis. Then I'm thinking, okay, so you're not watching it for blood work. Now, I don't know if that means you're not watching it for just blood work, the character, or just that entire arc around blood work. So that takes out Negative Flash and all that. So if that's the case, the only thing I can think of from the beginning of season 6, from the top of my head, without watching and removing what Eric Wallace is suggesting that we remove, is the weird stuff that like Nash Wells was looking for, the Eternium, whatever it was called. I think it was Eternium, the material that like the time weird material that was like, it suggested that Iris had some of it through her. That's the only thing I can think of from the beginning of season 6 that could potentially connect to what we're dealing with now in season 8, because obviously Iris has the time sickness. That's the only thing I can think of. If anyone else can think of anything like right now, I'll probably go back and like sort of skip through season 6. Probably not going to rewatch it just because time restraints, and I want to watch some other stuff. And I might look through like the general plot stuff of season 6 online and a breakdown of it, and just see what Eric Wallace might have been referring to. And then we might do a video on it if like the episodes don't hint at it over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, that's all to talk about in this video. That was a pretty short interview, but I must say, I think all the questions were relevant, unlike a lot of interviews that get done, unfortunately. Sometimes it feels like we're filling and the interviews go for 25 minutes and like 10 minutes of them were worth talking about. But I think this was a pretty good interview. I'm happy we went over, and I'm very excited to see how it all plays out, even though you could argue there is maybe a bit of concern around how they handle certain things. But you can't judge it until you see it. That's a very important thing to think of when you go into certain things. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about everything we went over and all of that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.